I believe that the Western world knows a lot about China, or so they think, but it's mostly a slightly distorted image we just built from consuming media, from reading up on what we think is a fact. And it shows that when you really look into Chinese consumers and their values, it's a quite different image that develops.
I think the Western media is also quite selective in terms of portraying China. I think the number one value is very clear, it's success. And if we read the Chinese media, newspaper and private chat, success is omnipresent. Everybody talked about success, everybody looking for success. And this also describing the current stage of development of the Chinese society and economy, because China it's in its catching up mode and trying to be the number one in many areas. And this is a topic both private person as well as companies need to deal with.
Yeah, it's also quite important for companies to understand that Chinese want to be a winner, so they want to be associated with successful products from successful companies.
I think it's not really surprising that success, as you mentioned, is number one in China, because of the history and the really extremely speed among the last, let's say, decades. People want to get part of the global community and the global success story.
And that's one of the important things about the Chinese Consumer Value Index, that while the values appear to be very similar in looking at the ranking, and we've mentioned that before, it is very important to take into consideration the connotation, like the individual discussions that are connected to those values. So if you look into success, it is similar to what we've seen in the past in Germany, but it still has elements that are completely unique and need being addressed in order to be successful dealing with Chinese consumers.
I mean, based also on my research, looking at how companies develop their product in the past and now, what we can observe is that in the past, the product 100% developed in Germany, they're selling to China, take it or leave it, because the market was not big enough, not interesting enough. And today, the successful company, they redefine the product on the spot in China for the Chinese market, for the Chinese consumer, in order to compete in the market.
And sometimes together with the consumers.
Exactly.
In terms of co-creation processes.
Exactly.
And this is where will be a differentiation.
Yes.
Between successful and non-successful companies.
And for doing this, you need some frameworks, you need some inputs in order to build up the foundation of the understanding of the customer.
And this works very well with our study, because we come from a very wide base. We have 7.8 million postings analyzed from Weibo platform and WeChat, and this is it's a really strong number to understand the Chinese society and the movements inside the Chinese society.
I think in terms of technology, it plays a big role in defining and interpreting the value, what we can see in the value index. Because Chinese people, they are extremely open to technology, to innovation, and they try a lot of things. And also during trying, they have to deal with all the ups and downs and advantages and disadvantages of this technology, and this will be reflected in their value. This will be reflected in their daily life, in their consumer behavior. So technology is extremely important, and besides, technology itself will shape many of these values in the mid and long term.